why don't we just put turbines on our Warbirds? That is the #1 question I've been getting all week. And the reason I've been getting that question is, on a previous video, I explained that it's very, very hard for us to find avgas, which is the fuel that these aircraft need to burn to make power. They use radial engines. This is a Pratt & Whitney 1830. It needs 100 low lead, which is very similar to car gas, but it's got lead and higher octane. Most aircraft nowadays burn jet fuel, which is kerosene or diesel, which is available everywhere. So if you can't get fuel, you can't fly these airplanes. So I get a question all the time, why don't we just put turbines on these airplanes? So I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit about that today. And let's dive deep and figure out why we just don't do that right now. Okay, so you probably already know that the DC-3 has a couple turbine conversions that have been done to it throughout the years, and actually one very, very successful one, the Basler, which we'll be talking about here very, very quickly. But I discovered something in my research for this video that I really want to show you guys today, and it has to do with the C-46. So William is actually just about to fire up the C-46 here right now for a trip to Hay River. And what I discovered back in 1945, the C-46, believe it or not, was the very first cargo aircraft in the US that was outfitted with a turbine engine, a T-31. It didn't do very well. They never ever flew it, but it was the very first. So that's a very cool tidbit. Folks, there goes William. Holy smokes, that is cold behind the C-46. Let's go inside and warm up, because I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to put a turbine on a DC-3 and why we haven't done it yet and what it's going to look like in the future. So I'm going to try to answer all those weird questions as soon as I warm up. Let's head inside. Okay folks, here is a standard Buffalo Airways DC-3 with the radial engine on it. I want to do a quick rundown on the difference, well, the glaring differences between the Basler and the standard DC-3. So you can see here's a Basler operated by Ken Bork that we lease. One thing, look at the space between the engine and the pilot. We're going to come to that in a second. So what we got to do is take a turbine engine and put it on our DC-3. So let's just take this engine off here. So there it is. That's a PT6. I don't like that red on there. So let's get rid of that red. Oh yeah, there we go. We got a green. So DC-3, can't we just simply just bolt on a turbine engine? Not really. You can't. First off, remember I said, look at how the prop is right in the pilot's face. Basler actually came up with a pretty creative solution for this. They made a plug. So they actually put a plug in the airframe right there. So when the cockpit is reattached, it actually moves the whole cockpit ahead. So when you put on the turbine engine, it goes into there. So here, give me a second. Let me glue this on. Let me get this on good for you. One sec. Okay, there you go, folks. Now, that's old school Photoshop. As you can see now, that DC-3 is a lot similar to that DC-3. So that is kind of the layman's point of view on the conversion. Again, this is super, super dumbed down. Check out BaslerTurbo.com. This is a way better resource than my cardboard cutouts. This is the homepage for Basler turbo conversions. You'll learn everything you need to know about the BT67 and its advantages over a standard DC-3. Also, I want to give a shout out. Basler helped us out quite a bit with DTD, so everybody at Basler, huge thumbs up. So case closed, the Basler, an amazing airplane. Everyone agrees on that. But why hasn't Buffalo purchased a Basler? Why isn't there no Baslers with Buffalo Airways on the side? That is at the core the question that we're answering today. And to answer that from Buffalo Airways point of view is we got to talk about the elephant in the room, which is the price. So What does price have to do with it? Well, the best I can do is describe it this way right here. So a fair market value on a DC-3 around $300,000. The Basler is pushing in at $8 million plus. But you're essentially getting a brand new airplane. They spend 45,000 man hours basically remanufacturing the whole aircraft. So another question I get is, why don't we just trade a DC-3 for a Basler? But if you actually do the math, you need to trade 28 DC-3s for one Basler. And if you're talking about airframes with no engines, double it, maybe even triple it. So you're talking about 60, 70 airframes for one Basler. That's a lot of DC-3s needed to pay for one Basler, which is a very big financial burden on a company like Buffalo Airways. But all is not lost, folks. If you're a longtime viewer, you know that we lease Baslers. This year is going to be our 4th year leasing a Basler from Ken Bork. So from March to September, which is half the year, we actually have a Basler here, and it's available for clients. The reason why we could do that is that Baslers are really big in Antarctica, and Antarctica's got a different season than we do because it's on the opposite end of the world. So their summer is our winter, and our winter is their summer. So when they're in the off season, which is our summer, they're available. So we lease one or even sometimes two off of Ken Bork. So we get the best of both worlds. We can have a Basler and we can have our own DC-3s. It works out just perfectly. But soon we will be getting our own Basler. Another question I need to tackle right off the bat is, why don't we put turbines on the DC-4 or the C-46? To answer that properly, before this helicopter comes and ruins the audio, or enhances the audio, sorry, is the C-46, just like the DC-3, the same technology, would take decades and millions of dollars to get a turbine conversion certified for commercial use. Yes, we can put turbines on anything. Putting turbines on stuff is not a huge deal. Getting it certified for commercial use is a huge deal. So that kind of knocks out the C-46, especially because there's aircraft out there, like I mentioned in previous episodes, that can start working tomorrow on routes such as the C-46. The DC-4, another story, this aircraft right here, this turbine, Electra, basically is a turbine DC-4. For all intents and purposes, we use it for cargo and firefighting. So the reason why we don't put a turbine on a DC-4 is because we have Electras, and the Electras haul, I guess, 1/3 more than the DC-4, which is good. So all that wraps it up, kind of hopefully in a nice tight bow for you guys. Hopefully that answered a lot of questions. It does look warm, but it is very cold. Speaking of cold, another video I want you to check out if you want to know more about how Baslers are kicking butt down south. Check out this video right here, and I'll be seeing you next time. The next video we're going to make is going to be a Fokker update. We'll see you soon. Bye.